I was mid-sentence, explaining dolphin echolocation to a group of wide-eyed kids, when a woman's voice boomed across the aquarium. "Cover those dolphins! Their nudity is a disgrace!" For a moment, the dolphin exhibit hall at the Columbus Aquarium fell silent. The 50-foot tank glowed under crisp LED lights, shimmering blue on the polished floor. Dolphins leapt and twisted, their sleek bodies slicing through the water. The air smelled faintly of chlorine, mingling with the sugary scent of popcorn from the lobby. Educational posters lined the walls, and a big marine conservation banner hung above the tank. A digital clock ticked by the entrance. Security cameras blinked in the corners, and my staff radio rested on a nearby table. I straightened my navy aquarium polo, still a bit damp from the humid hall, and tucked my clipboard under one arm. I'd given this tour 100 times, but never had I been interrupted like this. The woman later I had learned her name was Karen Mitchell stood out in her bright floral scarf and oversized sunglasses perched on her head. She gripped a white designer tote bag and wore an expression that could curdle milk. Next to her, a teenage girl, her daughter, I guess, shifted awkwardly, clutching a water bottle and staring at her shoes. I tried to keep my tone light. "Ma'am, dolphins are wild creatures. They don't wear clothes in nature." Karen's lips pursed. "This is a family place. You can't let animals parade around naked in front of children. It's indecent." A ripple of giggles spread through the kids. Some parents exchanged bemused glances. Others looked embarrassed for her. One little boy whispered, "Are the dolphins in trouble?" His friend snickered. I took a steadying breath and addressed the group. "Dolphins, like all animals here, live as they would in the wild. Our mission is to educate and inspire respect for marine life." Karen jabbed a finger at the tank. "That's not respect. That's filth." Her daughter, cheeks burning, tugged at her sleeve. "Mom, please!" But Karen pressed on, her voice echoing off the glass. "You need to cover them up. Some kind of modest drape, or at least turn them away from the public." I glanced at the dolphins, who seemed blissfully unaware of the commotion, chasing each other in lazy circles. The tank's water rippled, reflecting light on the ceiling. Children's sneakers squeaked on the floor as they shifted for a better view. Karen's scarf fluttered as she gestured dramatically. I kept my voice calm. "Ma'am, we follow the highest standards for animal care and public education. Dolphins don't have the same concepts of modesty as humans." She huffed. "Well, they should. This is America." A few parents stifled laughter. One dad muttered, "Only in Ohio." I smiled at the kids. "Now, who wants to learn how dolphins talk underwater?" Hands shot up, eager to move on. But Karen was undeterred. "I'm not leaving until something is done about this." I nodded to my coworker, Lisa, standing by the staff door in her wetsuit, ready for the next feeding demonstration. She looked at me, eyebrows raised. I turned back to the crowd, projecting my voice. "If anyone has questions about our animals or our policies, I'm happy to discuss them after the tour. For now, let's focus on the wonders of the ocean." Karen folded her arms, glaring at me. Her daughter looked like she wanted to disappear. As I led the group to the next display, I couldn't help but wonder what on earth would happen next. Karen's voice grew shriller, but I wasn't prepared for her next outrageous move. She planted herself right in front of the dolphin tank, blocking the view for a cluster of kids who'd just pressed their noses to the glass. "This aquarium is promoting immorality," she declared, her floral scarf fluttering with every emphatic gesture. Ignoring my invitation to discuss her concerns privately at the information desk, she dug into her white tote bag and pulled out her smartphone. With a dramatic flourish, she pointed the camera at me and pressed record. "I'm exposing this place for its shameful practices," Karen announced to her imaginary audience, her phone glinting under the LED lights. Her daughter, Emily, cheeks flushed with embarrassment, tugged at her mother's sleeve and whispered, "Mom, stop, please!" But Karen was resolute, shaking her off and zooming in on the dolphins behind me. I took a steadying breath, determined not to let her derail the entire tour. "Ma'am, our mission is education, not provocation. Dolphins are wild animals, and our exhibits are designed to reflect their natural behavior, in accordance with scientific and ethical standards." Karen barely let me finish. "You're brainwashing kids with this filth," she snapped, panning her phone from the dolphins to the group of parents and children. Some visitors exchanged nervous glances, others stifled laughter. A little boy piped up, "Why is that lady mad at the dolphins?" Bill, a father standing nearby, muttered, "She's making a fool of herself," loud enough for the nearest adults to hear. I signaled to Lisa, our dolphin trainer, who stood at the far end of the hall in her wetsuit, ready to keep the tour moving. She nodded, gathering the group and gently steering them away from the commotion. The dolphins' clicks echoed faintly through the water, a soothing contrast to Karen's rising pitch. Meanwhile, Mike, our security guard, approached with measured steps, his radio clipped to his belt. He kept a watchful eye on Karen, ready to intervene if needed. I addressed Karen again, my voice calm but firm. "Let's take this to the desk, ma'am. We want all our guests to have a positive experience." Karen shook her head, planting her feet even more firmly. "I demand to see the director right now. Someone has to answer for this indecency." Her phone hovered inches from my face, capturing every word. Emily, mortified, stood off to the side, clutching her water bottle and staring at the floor. The air in the hall felt thick with humidity and tension. The crowd's whispers grew louder, some amused, some annoyed. A few parents began quietly ushering their children toward the next exhibit, eager to escape the spectacle. Karen's camera was rolling, but her attempt to rally the crowd backfired spectacularly. Most visitors ignored her, their focus drifting back to the dolphins gliding effortlessly through the blue water. I caught Lisa's eye as she led the tour group away, silently thanking her for her professionalism. I stayed rooted in place, determined to protect the aquarium's mission and the visitor experience. "Our priority is the well-being of our animals and our guests," I said, keeping my tone measured. "If you have a complaint, I'll be happy to bring it to our director, but I ask that you not disrupt the tour." Karen glared at me, her phone still recording. "You haven't heard the last of this," she warned. But as the dolphins clicked and spun behind the glass, it was clear that her crusade was losing steam and her audience's patience. Karen thought she'd win the crowd's support, but their reaction turned her crusade upside down. She turned away from me, raising her phone high like a preacher at a revival. "Parents, you need to shield your children from this indecency," she shouted, her scarf waving dramatically as she gestured toward the dolphin tank. "This aquarium is corrupting young minds. Are you really going to stand for it?" Most visitors barely glanced her way. Some parents quietly herded their kids closer to the glass, eager to resume watching the dolphins. A few exchanged eye rolls or shrugged, while others pulled out their own phones, some to record the spectacle, others to text friends about the bizarre interruption. Emily, cheeks flaming, stepped back from her mother, clutching her water bottle with both hands and staring at the floor. I took a breath and addressed the group, my voice steady. "Ladies and gentlemen, the Columbus Aquarium is accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. We follow strict ethical standards to ensure both animal welfare and educational value. If you have questions about our mission, I'm happy to provide more information." I reached for a pamphlet from the display table and offered it to Karen. "Here's our conservation guide. It explains why we present animals as they are in nature." Karen snatched the pamphlet, barely glancing at it before tossing it back onto the table. "Don't dodge responsibility. I demand the director fix this now. Cover the dolphins with tarps or curtains." I have a right to a moral environment." At that, Bill, the father who'd lingered near the tank, stepped forward. "This is a place for learning, not your personal soapbox," he said, voice calm but firm. "Let the kids enjoy the dolphins." Several other parents nodded, murmuring agreement. A couple of teens started filming Karen's outburst, their phones angled discreetly. Lisa, our dolphin trainer, caught my eye from across the hall and gave a subtle nod. She was already radioing Sarah, our director, for backup. Mike, the security guard, edged closer, his hand resting near his radio, ready to intervene if needed. Karen, undeterred, tried once more to rally the crowd. "Parents, stand with me! This place is a disgrace," she pleaded, her voice cracking. But Bill shook his head. "Lady, you're the only disgrace here." The tank's water splashed softly as a dolphin leapt, drawing the children's attention back to the exhibit. Karen's scarf caught the light as she waved it in frustration, but her words were drowned out by the growing hum of conversation and the distant, cheerful squeaks of the dolphins. I could see Karen's energy faltering as her audience slipped away, more interested in the animals than in her crusade. Emily retreated further, her embarrassment now unmistakable. The crowd's murmurs grew, blending with the soft sounds of the aquarium, while Lisa and I exchanged a look of relief, at least for the moment. Karen's rant was losing steam, but her next act would turn the hall into chaos. When Karen grabbed the pamphlets, the Dolphin Hall became her stage and our nightmare. Frustrated that her crusade was falling flat, Karen stormed over to the display table near the tank entrance. In one swift, theatrical motion, she snatched up a thick stack of our marine conservation pamphlets, at least 20, maybe more. Her voice rang out, sharp and trembling with anger. "You're all complicit in this immorality!" With that, she hurled the pamphlets high into the air. They fluttered and spun, scattering across the polished floor like startled seabirds. A few landed in the tank's blue glow, their covers reflecting the LED lights. The sudden chaos startled a nearby toddler, who burst into tears, her wails echoing off the glass. Parents gasped, and the crowd recoiled in shock. Emily, mortified, covered her face with both hands, accidentally dropping her water bottle, which rolled under a bench and out of sight. My heart pounded as I stepped between Karen and the crowd. "Ma'am, please calm down," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I reached for my radio and quietly signaled Mike, our security guard, to call for backup. All the while, the security cameras blinked overhead, recording every frantic gesture. I knelt to comfort the crying child, fishing a dolphin sticker from my clipboard and handing it to her with a reassuring smile. "It's okay," I whispered. "The dolphins are just fine." Her mother mouthed a quiet thank you, clutching her daughter close. Mike arrived, joined by Tom, our second guard. Both wore calm, practiced expressions, but their posture was unmistakably firm. Mike addressed Karen, his voice low but authoritative. "Ma'am, your actions are disrupting our guests and violating aquarium policy. If you don't stop immediately, we'll have to ask you to leave." Lisa, still in her wetsuit, hurried to gather the scattered pamphlets, her hands shaking slightly as she tried to restore order. At that moment, Sarah, our director, swept in, her name tag glinting under the lights, her presence radiating calm authority. She surveyed the scene, taking in the frightened child, the angry crowd, and Karen, who was now pacing in front of the tank, phone still in hand. Bill, the father who had defended the aquarium earlier, was filming the entire scene on his phone. "This lady's lost it," he narrated, his voice carrying just enough sarcasm to draw a few nervous laughs from the crowd. Other visitors began to murmur, some demanding that Karen be removed. A protective circle formed around the toddler's family, parents exchanging worried glances. Karen, undeterred, shouted, "You'll all regret ignoring me." Her voice cracked, desperation seeping through her righteous indignation. I stood tall, placing myself between Karen and the rest of the visitors. "Ma'am, you're scaring children. Please stop now," I said, my tone firmer than before. Sarah stepped forward, her voice cool and decisive. "This is your final warning. If you continue, you will be escorted out and banned from the aquarium." The tension in the room was palpable. Pamphlets rustled as Lisa stacked them back on the table. The toddler's cries faded to sniffles. The tank's blue glow cast long shadows over the crowd, everyone waiting to see what Karen would do next. Emily, still rooted in place, looked as if she wished she could disappear. Bill's camera caught every moment, and the crowd's outrage was now palpable, a mix of anger, embarrassment, and a desire for the scene to end. Karen's chaos was spiraling, but security was about to shut it down. As Karen's defiance hit its peak, the cuffs came out, and the crowd roared. Sarah, our director, arrived with a calm but unmistakable authority, her name tag glinting under the aquarium lights. She surveyed the chaos pamphlets scattered, a toddler still sniffling, parents clustered protectively, and Karen standing in front of the dolphin tank, face flushed with indignation. "Ma'am, your actions are endangering our guests and disrupting the aquarium," Sarah said, her voice firm and clear enough to cut through the murmurs. "You are in violation of our guest conduct policy and Ohio law. I'm asking you, one last time, to leave the premises peacefully." Karen's grip tightened on her tote bag. "I'm protecting decency," she shouted, her voice echoing off the glass. In her agitation, her sunglasses slipped from her head and clattered to the floor. She made no move to pick them up. Mike and Tom, our security guards, stepped forward. "Ma'am, please come with us," Mike said, his tone gentle but resolute. When Karen refused to budge, Tom reached for her arm, and Karen jerked away, nearly dropping her bag. "Don't touch me! This is persecution!" she screamed, drawing even more attention from the growing crowd. Sarah pulled out her phone and called the police, her words measured and precise. "We need assistance at the dolphin exhibit. Disorderly guests refusing to comply and disturbing families." Within minutes, 2 uniformed officers entered the hall. One reviewed the security footage on a staff tablet, the other approached Karen. "Ma'am, you are being detained for disorderly conduct," the officer said, producing a pair of handcuffs. Karen's protest grew shrill. "You can't silence me! I have rights!" But the officers moved efficiently, handcuffing her as her scarf trailed behind, and began escorting her toward the exit. Her tote bag was left behind on the floor, soon collected by Lisa for safekeeping. The crowd, which had endured the ordeal in tense silence, erupted into applause. Some parents cheered, others called out, "Go home, Karen!" Bill, still filming, caught every moment on his phone. "Hashtag Dolphin Karen, justice at last," he narrated, as the video streamed live to social media. Emily, eyes brimming with tears, quietly retrieved her water bottle from under the bench and followed the officers and her mother at a distance, shoulders hunched in humiliation. Sarah turned to the crowd, her composure unwavering. "We apologize for the disruption. Please see the front desk for complimentary tour vouchers. Thank you for your patience and for supporting our mission of marine education." Lisa secured Karen's belongings in the staff office, to be returned to Emily via the police. I took a deep breath and gathered the group for the rest of the tour, offering a lighthearted quip. "Well, folks, our dolphins may not wear clothes, but at least they have good manners." The handcuffs clicked sharply as Karen was led away, her scarf fluttering with every step. The cheers and laughter of the crowd echoed off the tank's glass, a wave of relief and triumph washing over the hall. Karen's arrest marked the end of her rant, but the story and its ripples were just beginning. Karen's dolphin crusade didn't cover a thing. Instead, it uncovered her folly for the world to see. A week after the incident, the story had swept through local news and social media. Bill's video of Dolphin Karen amassed over 50,000 views on X, with hashtags like #DolphinKaren and #AquariumJustice trending across Ohio. The comments were relentless, some mocking Karen's modesty, logic, others praising the staff's professionalism. The local news even interviewed me about the importance of respecting both animals and public spaces, and the aquarium's mission to educate, not provoke. Karen herself faced swift consequences. In court, she pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct, receiving a $500 fine and 50 hours of community service, ironically, cleaning up litter at a city park. The aquarium issued a lifetime ban, citing our guest conduct policy and our commitment to the ethical standards of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. Karen's role as a church group leader quietly dissolved, her reputation overshadowed by her viral outburst. Emily, her daughter, took a different path. Distancing herself from her mother's actions, she reached out to our team and began volunteering in the aquarium's youth program. Under my mentorship, Emily channeled her embarrassment into purpose, helping younger kids discover the wonders of marine life. She became a favorite among the staff, her quiet determination a stark contrast to her mother's spectacle. The community rallied around us. Visitor numbers surged, and donations to our conservation fund soared. Inspired by the ordeal, we launched a Respect Our Oceans campaign. Dolphin-themed shirts and stickers flew off the shelves, and our gift shop buzzed with new energy. Lisa and I received staff awards for professionalism under pressure, and Sarah, our director, hosted a free community day, offering educational talks and behind-the-scenes tours. Reflecting on the chaos, I realized Karen's outburst had, unintentionally, strengthened our mission. In a staff meeting, I shared a story about rescuing a stranded dolphin years ago, tying it to our belief that empathy and understanding are the roots of conservation. As Baba Dayam once said, "In the end, we will conserve only what we love, we will love only what we understand, and we will understand only what we are taught." 2. That day, the aquarium wasn't just a place for entertainment, it was a classroom, a sanctuary, and a community united by respect for nature. I ended my next tour with a smile, telling the group, "Dolphins don't need clothes, they need our respect." The kids giggled, parents nodded, and the dolphins, as always, leapt freely in their shimmering blue world. Love this story of justice and marine magic? Hit that like button, share it with your friends, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to ring the bell for more inspiring tales. In an aquarium where dolphins teach us wonder, one Karen's tantrum only deepened our love for the sea.